Welcome back, everybody, to episode number 23 of the Sports File, a 35-year reboot. This is your host, Sean Barkley. Today, we're going to talk about an interesting question that was raised on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, by Eric Goodman, the great Eric Goodman here in Denver. Former sports broadcaster, has been on sports radio for a while out here. He's also has his own podcast now with his partner. And they got into a little bit of a debate today about the Colorado Rockies in honor of opening day and what do the Rockies really look like and what are they, right, in this town, right? And Eric's brought up a message. His argument was, and he threw this out on X as well, could the Rockies be the second most popular team in Denver, right? Broncos number one, clear and far. I think currently you'd probably put the Nuggets, then the Avs, then the Rockies, right? And those are the four major teams. But his argument was if the Monforts were willing to actually care and invest and, not have such a low payroll like they have now, they've got a great ballpark. It's one of the best ballparks in all of baseball. A summer night, it's just a fantastic place to hang out and watch games, right? And it's shown through the years that people will go there even when they're pretty terrible. Like right now, it's opening day. We've got a couple snow flurries coming down, and I turned on the television, and there are the Rockies, and the place is 3/4 full, and it's 40 degrees out. So people will definitely go, right? But he raised it is could they be the second most popular team? And his argument was back in 2007, they absolutely were. He threw it out on X. I responded because I do remember this run. I've been out here since 2001. We have, been out here. First thing I noticed is this Denver is different for sure. The Broncos, I've never seen a team as popular than the Denver Broncos. Their fan base just follows them naturally. On Sundays, the big joke around here was, and it still is to this day, if you want to get something done, go out on a Sunday when the Broncos are playing, and you'll be sure there'll be no traffic, the stores will be empty. Everybody is completely locked into the Broncos. Which, growing up in Massachusetts, when I was a kid, the Patriots were terrible. The Red Sox were okay. They weren't great, but they had such a following anyways, but they were pretty popular. They were by far the most popular team, but the Broncos blow everybody else out of the table from what I've seen from a fan base here. So this 2007 season was really a coming of age for the Rockies. They did the most improbable run that you would ever seen possible. They had, at the start of play on September 16th, their record was 76-72, so just over 500. They went on to actually win their final 14 of their final 15 regular season games. It culminated in a 9-8, 13-inning victory over the San Diego Padres in a one-game playoff for the wild card berth. And I remember my wife and I watching this game in our basement with our TV on, and we were just, screaming when they won. It was so exciting the way they did it too. And they went on to then go into the playoffs. They swept their first two series that they went against. They swept, and they swept. Let's see who they swept. Okay, they swept the Philadelphia Phillies. They went in there. They kept winning. They won again, and they beat the Diamondbacks by sweeping them. And then they turn around and lose to the Boston Red Sox, getting swept in the World Series. But this team was just amazing to watch. And the excitement that entailed, and this was really Eric's point today on the podcast, was they, at that point, and I remember it vividly, they really did knock the Broncos off that number one seed. This is September, October. Broncos season's just starting up. The excitement, this was must watch, the Rockies. It was just, everybody was locked in to watching them or going to the ballpark. The ballpark, when they went on this win streak, was mobbed. It was packed. They were selling out games. They had such a great group of guys there too, and they just got red hot at the right time. They nicknamed it Rocktober, and they really did knock the Broncos out. You'd hear a little bit about the Broncos, a recap, but it was just all in on the Rockies. It dominated the sports coverage. Newspapers, which were still kind of around at that point, that's all they wrote about. Broncos were knocked off the front page. Sports radio, all they were talking about were the Rockies. And they were such a great group of guys. Their starting lineup, I was looking it up here, on their 2007 season. They have Torrealba as their catcher, Todd Helton at first base, Matsui at second base, Tulowitzki was shortstop, Garrett Atkins at third base, Matt Holliday in left field, Willie Tavares in center, and Brad Hopp in right. And they could absolutely mash. When you look at some of these statistics, the leader was Matt Holliday. His average was 340, 36 bombs, 137 RBIs. He was followed by Garrett Atkins at 301 average, 25 home runs, 111 RBIs. You had Tulo, who hit 24 home runs, 99 RBIs with a 291 batting average. Brad Hopp, 291, 29 home runs, 116. And then even Helton was 320 average, of course. He was just so solid with 17 home runs and 91 RBIs. Just a real good team. And then their bench was great. They had Ryan Spilberg, Spilly, who ended up playing 97 games for them, 299 average, 11 home runs, 51 RBIs. You had backup players like Chris Iannetta, the young catcher at the time, Jamie Carroll, their utility infielder, Corey Sullivan, who's on the announced team now with Spilly. You had Ian Stewart, who was young, who'd just been called up. Clint Barnes, young, just called up. Seth Smith, who caught really hot during the playoffs and came in. And then their pitching staff was so well-rounded. You had Jeff Francis, who led the pack. He was their starter, their ace, 17 wins, 9 losses. You had Aaron Cook. You had Josh Fogg, Jason Hirsch. You had Ubaldo Jimenez coming in as well. And then just a real good, and then their relief pitchers were Fuentes, who was their closer. He had 20 saves on the year, followed by Corpus as well, who had 19. Just a really, 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 really good team. And they were truly exciting to watch. And I think if the Monforts, my last pod, I sort of banged on them a little bit, saying, the Monforts, we need new ownership. If the Monforts could just remember what it was like in 2007 and then 2009 when they went back and they brought in people like Jason Giambi. There's such good memories coining Rocktober. There was a vibe in this town, and they absolutely, I agree with Eric, they would be the number 2 team in popularity, especially with the boom in baseball that we're seeing again. The Nuggets are definitely exciting. They're great, but there is something about the Rockies when they got hot, this town shut down to watch them. And if the Monforts could just invest a little bit more money, I think we'd have something really special here. But instead, we seem to want to not spend. We want to develop young. They not off to the best start again. I mean, if we look at the Colorado Rockies payroll for this year, I'm sure they're ranked dead last or close to it. A ranking them, they're 21st in Major League Baseball. They have a payroll of $120.69 million. Their highest paid player is Chris Bryant at $27 million, and he's hurt all the time. He's been a complete bust. Kyle Freeland, the local kid out of Thomas Jefferson High School, $16 million. Ryan McMahon, $12 million, and then it goes off from there. But if the Rockies could just seriously invest, you would see the fans come out. And the best part about it is when you go to this ballpark too, is the Cubs roll into town, the Cardinals, the Red Sox. It's dominated. It's like a home game for those clubs. But if you could, in my opinion too, where I agree with Eric, especially they would be the second most popular, I think you'd actually develop fans. You'd actually develop Rockies fans here that actually would support this team and would go. And I think you'd see your fan base would grow. What that means is that's additional revenue, right? Going into the souvenir shops, buying souvenirs, the concessions, obviously, the ballpark would fill up more consistently. It still draws really, really well. I think if we look at the Colorado Rockies attendance numbers for the league, they're probably at the top or close to the top of the thing. Yeah, they ranked 15th in MLB. They still pull in 31,000 fans a year. So I think you could grow that, and I think you'd start to see some really, really interesting times with the Rockies out here if they were to invest, because there was nothing like Rocktober in 2007. So here's to a new day. It's opening day. Kind of snowy out here. We'll see what the Rockies do. That's been episode number 23 of the Sports File, a 35-year reboot, and I'll talk to you soon.